Wars reflect the most brutal side of man, and official history is full of the heavy suffering inflicted by the powerful on others in these wars. However, the Cold War years also caused great suffering to people. Today, their stories come before us and question consciences. Dyatlov Pass is a pass on the Kolet-Syakhl mountain in the Northern Ural region of Russia and takes its name from Igor Dyatlov, an engineering student at the Urals Polytechnic Institute. Igor Dyatlov was born on February 2, 1959, with 9 of his friends. He died mysteriously at the peak of Kolet-Syakhl. Later, this passage was named after the leader of the group, Igor Dyatlov, in memory of the young people who lost their lives. According to preliminary reports, the bodies had strange and unexplained injuries, and some had signs that suggested they had been exposed to radiation. What was even stranger was the location of the bodies. According to first impressions, the young people who jumped out of their sleep seemed to have torn the tent from the inside and jumped out of their tents in panic and ran to their deaths. While the investigations were continuing, the Soviet administration of the period stopped the work, which brought the incident to an even more mysterious dimension, and mind-blowing conspiracy theories were produced. But the truth could not be fully reached, and in February 2019, Russian authorities surprisingly announced that they would open the file regarding this incident for re-examination. So, what happened to these young people? We are in the years when the Cold War reached its peak. 10 students from the Urals Polytechnic Institute are going on an expedition in the Ural Mountains, which separate Europe and Asia. The aim of the group is to complete a 300-kilometer nature walk and obtain a highly prestigious certificate, which was very popular in the Soviet Union at that time. The group, which consisted of all experienced skiers, was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student. In the group consisting of 8 men and 2 women, all of them were aged 20 to 24, except for 38-year-old Zolotaryov. The harsh winter conditions made it clear from the beginning that the journey would be very difficult. One of the group members, Yuri Yudin, returned home, leaving his belongings with the other members of the group due to severe pain that restricted him from walking. The remaining 9 people would never be able to return home again. The missing students start their journey on a sleeper train on January 23, 1959. The trip was planned to be completed on February 12, but although a few days' delay due to bad weather conditions was considered normal, when the date showed February 20th, it was clear that something was wrong. Upon the application of the families, small teams are formed to search for missing students. On February 26th, search teams find the campsite and tent. The tent is half destroyed, damaged, but standing and partially covered with snow. Moreover, the tent was torn from the inside. All the belongings of the group, including their backpacks and shoes, are abandoned inside. There are footprints from the tent to the forest area, some naked, some with socks, and the researchers following the tracks find 2 bodies under a large pine tree. One of the bodies belongs to Yuri Doroshenko. Next to him is Yuri Krivnishenko. They are both naked and shoeless, wearing only underwear. 3 more bodies are found further down: Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, and Slobodin. It is understood from the positions of the bodies that they were trying to return to the tent. Igor Dyatlov has clothes but no shoes. He is lying face down on the ground, hugging a tree branch, with the body of Zaneta Kolmogorova nearby, desperately trying to climb the hill where the tent is located. Long-distance runner Rustam Slobodin, wearing layers of clothing, is found with his watch stopped at 8.45 on his wrist. He obviously lost his life after them and tried to protect himself by taking the clothes of his dead friends. 4 months later, on May 4th, they were found under 4 meters of snow in a valley beyond the camp. 3 of them are better dressed than the others. It is also understandable why the first corpses were naked. It appears that the clothes of those who died first were removed to be used by others. Nikolai Thibeaux-Brignol, the son of a French communist, and Alexander Kolevatov, a nuclear physics student, had deep wounds behind their ears and their necks were turned upside down. The youngest member of the group, Lyudmila Dubinina, and the oldest member, sports teacher Semyon Zolotaryov, had multiple broken ribs, and Zolotaryov was injured. The skull bone is visible through an open wound on the skull. Both of their eyes have been removed and Lyudmila has no tongue. The cause of death of the students is recorded as hypothermia and freezing. However, the findings on some corpses cannot be explained by cold. What could have happened to wake young people up from their sleep and drive them into panic? Conspiracy theories are various. Students were victims of a military experiment. In fact, they may have died elsewhere and their bodies were loaded onto helicopters and taken to the region. Some of the speculations that were spread around were that it looked like he froze to death. Moreover, it is claimed in a declassified U.S. document that a U.S. spy plane carried out a secret mission in that region in the first half of 1959. Although the fact that the investigation into the disappearance of the group was initially suppressed by the Soviet administration was the main reason for the production of a wide variety of conspiracy theories. Domestic hiding information was a standard procedure for that period, and therefore it was not a very undeniable situation. Coming back to the incident, the phenomenon of panic and the positions of the corpses bring to mind loud explosions. As a matter of fact, forensic experts who examined the incident at that time stated that the wounds on the corpses were the result of an explosion wave. On the other hand, there are records of parachute mines being tested by the Soviet army in the region while the students were on the mountain. It is stated that parachute mines can cause injuries similar to those seen in students by creating a blast wave in the air without hitting the Earth's surface. The fact that young people panic enough to cut their tents from the inside and try to go out with bare feet shows that they have difficulty breathing. Neither official statements nor conspiracy theories seem sufficient to fully shed light on what is known as the Dyatlov Pass Incident. Wars reflect the most brutal side of man, and official history is full of the heavy suffering inflicted by the powerful on others in these wars. However, the Cold War years also caused great suffering to people. Today, their stories come before us and question our consciences. It is not known whether the young people in this incident were victims of a nuclear test, but it seems certain that they were victims of the Cold War.